Good day and welcome to our special Advent mini-series session on the Messianic Prophecies of the Bible. Today let us start with the last prophet listed in the last book of the Old Testament in our Christian Bibles, Prophet Malachi. We need to know the Prophet Malachi is not the last book in the Tanakh, in the Jewish Bible, since after Torah, the 5 books of Moses, from Genesis to Deuteronomy, we have prophets. And then, after the prophets, followed by the writings, Katav. That's why you have Torah, Navim, Na, and K for Katav, for writings. So that is where Jesus refers to the Bible. He does not use the word Bible, but the law, the Torah, and the prophets. In his time, many Jews read also many other books, some of them not included in the Bible, or at least in the KJV Bible, and they called, that section is called, as I said already, Ketuvim, writings. So the Jewish Bible section called prophets did not start with Isaiah, but with Joshua, Judges, Ruth, 1st, 2nd Samuel, and of course Kings, 1st, 2nd Kings, and then Isaiah and the rest of the prophets. So all these are prophetic books starting from Joshua. The Jewish third section of the Bible started with Psalms, Prophet, and Job, Proverbs and Job, and ended with the second book of Chronicles. Thus, the Jewish Bible does not end with Malachi, but with the second Chronicles. By the way, the second book of Chronicles ends with a command to rebuild the Jerusalem temple after the exile. For this reason, today many ultra-Orthodox Jews have it in the agenda to demolish the Dome of the Rock, sacred shrine for the Muslims, that occupies now the Temple Mount, and there rebuild the new Jerusalem temple, the third temple of Jerusalem, as the first was built, of course, by Solomon, and then rebuilt by Zerubbabel after exile, after Nebuchadnezzar destroyed it. So there is a time now for the third one, and perhaps then the Messiah will come. Always the last book of the Bible, whether book of Revelation for many Christians or book of Chronicles for the ultra-Orthodox Jews, played so much importance in eschatological part. This is so-called realized or realization of eschatology. So eschaton means the final event in the divine plan, the end of time, and I spoke about it before. Prophet Malachi closes the Old Testament or Hebrew scriptures for us Christians. The last chapter starts with the announcement of the coming of the terrible day of the Lord. See, the day is coming, he says, burning like an oven, when all the arrogant and all evildoers will be stubble. The day that comes shall burn them up, says the Lord of hosts, so that it will leave them neither root nor branch. But before that happens, Malachi announces the return of Elijah. Lo, I will send you the prophet Elijah before the great and terrible day of the Lord comes. He will turn the heads of the parents to their children, and the hearts of children to their parents, so that I will not come and strike the land with a curse. End of quote. And with verse, the Malachi, this verse ends the whole of the Old Testament. So imagine now how we can interpret that. So the New Testament, just at the turn of the next page, starts with the Gospel of Matthew. And so in Matthew, just after the genealogy and the stories of nativity of Jesus, the first 2 chapters, John the Baptist is introduced with a camel skin on him and leather belt, dressed just like Elijah, if you read 2 Kings chapter 1, verse 8. And some of the prophetic words that John the Baptist uses echo the words of Malachi from chapter 4. John says in Matthew chapter 3 verse 10, even now the axe is lying at the root of the trees. Every tree, therefore, that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown into the fire. End of quote. And in verse 12, he says, his winnowing fork is in his hand, and he will clear the threshing floor and will gather the wheat into the granary. But the chaff he will burn with unquenching fire. Again, end of quote. That definitely echoes some of the verses of Malachi in chapter 4 in Malachi. It looks like John the Baptist was so much influenced by prophet Malachi as he also envisaged this terrible day of the Lord when the whole world will be judged. So when Jesus was healing and preaching to the poor, forgiving sinners, he sent his disciples from prison to ask him, are you really the one who is to come? Or should we perhaps wait for someone else? In Luke chapter 7, verse 19. Jesus was healing and casting out demons, so he replies with a quotation from Isaiah that he previously quoted when he was reading in the synagogue of the hometown in Nazareth, from Isaiah, of course, chapter 61, verse 1 to 3. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to bring good news to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of the sight to the blind, to let the oppressed go free, and to proclaim the year of favor from the Lord. And that is why Jesus replies to John's messengers, go and tell John what you have seen and what you have heard. The blind receive their sight, the lame walk, the lepers are cleansed, the deaf hear, and the dead are raised. The poor have good news brought to them. And blessed is anyone who takes no offense at me. End of quote. It looks like there were some conflicting ideas about what the Messiah would do. While most of the religious Jews thought that, or hoped that the Messiah would come with judgment for the wicked, Jesus' idea, drawn from the prophecies of Isaiah, was the time of redemption, of healing, time of second chance for the downtrodden and the sinners, not judgment and punishment for the wicked and the sinners. But the Isaianic prophecies and Jesus' identification with the servant of the Lord will be dealt in our subsequent sections. And so we will continue our Messianic prophecies next week. So until then, God bless you.